Chapter 8. The emissary of Oneness swung his bronzed, well-muscled legs over the side of the hammock and sat up. With an expression of great interest, he watched Spokesman Dawn coming across the sunroom towards him from the entrance corridor of the hospital suite. It was the first visit he'd had from any member of the organization of the machine in the 2 years he had been confined here. For Spokesman Dawn, it had been, to judge by his appearance, a strenuous 2 years. He had lost weight, and there were dark smudges of fatigue under his eyes. At the moment, however, his face appeared relaxed. It might have been the relaxation a man feels who's been emptied out by a hard stint of work, but knows he has accomplished everything that could possibly have been done. Dawn came to a stop a dozen feet from the hammock. For some seconds, the two men regarded each other without speaking.
"On my way here," Dawn remarked then, "I was wondering whether you mightn't already know what I've come to tell you."
Rainbolt shook his head. "No," he said. "I think I could guess what it is. I pick up generalized impressions from outside, but I don't really know." Spokesman Dawn considered that a moment, chewing his lower lip reflectively. Then he shrugged.
"So actual mind-reading doesn't happen to be one of your talents," he said. "I was rather sure of that, though others had a different opinion. Of course, considering what you are able to do, it wouldn't really make much difference. Well, this morning we sent out a general call by space radio to any Mars convict ships which might be in the solar system to come in. The call was answered. Earth's defense fields have been shut down and the first FTL ships will land within an hour."
"For what purpose?" Rainbolt said curiously.
"There's a strong feeling," Spokesman Dawn said, "that your colleagues should take part in deciding what pattern Earth's permanent form of government will take. In recent months, we've handled things in a rather provisional and haphazard manner, but the situation is straightened out well enough now to permit giving attention to some legalistic details. Incidentally, you will naturally be free to leave when I do. Transportation is available for you if you wish to welcome your friends at the spaceport."
"Thank you," said Rainbolt. "I believe I will."
Spokesman Dawn shrugged. "What could we do?" he said almost disinterestedly. "You never slept. In the beginning you were drugged a number of times, as you probably know, but we soon discovered that drugging you seemed to make no difference at all."
"It doesn't," Rainbolt agreed.
"Day after day," Dawn went on, "we'd find thoughts and inclinations coming into our minds we'd never wanted there.
It was an eerie experience, though personally I found it even more disconcerting to awaken in the morning and discover that my attitudes had changed in some particular or other, and as a rule changed irrevocably." Rainbolt said, "In a sense, those weren't really your attitudes, you know. They were results of the conditioning of the machine. It was the conditioning I was undermining."
"Perhaps it was that," Dawn said. "It seems to make very little difference now." He paused, frowned. "When the first talk of initiating change began in the councils, there were numerous executions. I know now that we were badly frightened men. Then those of us who had ordered the executions found themselves wanting similar changes. Presently, we had a majority, and the changes began to be brought about. Reforms, you would call them, and reforms I suppose they actually were. There was considerable general disturbance, of course, but we retained the organization to keep that within reasonable bounds."
"We expected that you would," Rainbolt said.
"It hasn't been really too bad," Spokesman Dawn said reflectively. "It was simply an extraordinary amount of work to change the structure of things that had been imposed on Earth by the machine for the past century and a half. And the curious part of it is, you know, that now that it's done, we don't even feel resentment. We actually wouldn't want to go back to what we had before. You've obtained an incredible hold on our minds, and frankly, I expect that when at last you do relinquish your control, we'll commit suicide or go mad."
Rainbolt shook his head. "There's been just one mistake in what you've said," he remarked. Spokesman Dawn looked at him with tired eyes. "What's that?" he asked. "I said I was undermining the conditioning of the machine. I did. And after that I did nothing. You people simply have been doing what most of you always would have preferred to do, Spokesman. I relinquished the control of the last of you over 6 months ago."